This is Xavier's Anecdote 2, Chapter 1, For Passing By. 16 years ago. Spring. Prior to Arthur's memory decaying to a point where he couldn't remember anything. Not long after the new year, many of Lincoln's residents still bask in the holiday spirit. However, Bloomshore's District Special Task Force, specifically Team 13, was in a panic. After 5 long years, they were welcoming a new recruit. Heard his eval is light or something. He's usually only responsible for providing light and scouting a path during missions. Support role, it's not that impressive. Impressive people won't be sent to our team. Staying here for a year is almost like being buried in the ground for a decade. So he's just like us. A nobody. Luke hands over the newcomer's information to Tommy. Is he here to also fix our hallway's lights? Standing before the office door, Arthur is hit by a wave of mixed emotions. This marks his 16th year as a police officer and 9th as the captain of Team 13. In his younger days, his passion led him to numerous accomplishments, but a severe injury from a high-risk mission 5 years ago significantly diminished his mobility. Having recovered since then, Arthur did some mental calculations. Even at the risk of reputational damage, he must utilize the energy of new blood to somehow mold this group of misfits back into shape. Attention, everyone. Arthur swings the door open, breaking the chatty atmosphere. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the rookie will report for duty. We only got 2 hours left, so we need to start preparing. Tommy, are you working part-time as a junk collector? This pizza box has been here for weeks. Throw it away. Arthur is completely oblivious to the neck pillow he's still wearing. And this figurine on your desk, Luke? I've told you not to bring this into our office. It makes us look bad. Team 13 is at the bottom of the hierarchy. After numerous reshuffles, they have been whittled down to a single captain, 2 officers, and a support technician who has just submitted a transfer request. They're hardly what one would call a team. In their early years, they made a name for themselves by solving several major cases. However, their present has nothing of their past luster, marked by a lack of talent. Their reputation has taken a hit due to failed investigations. When their department relocated, they were left behind to handle the task of sorting through a plethora of old files. To this day, they still inhabit the old building. As time passed, they were all but forgotten, their only interactions with the others being the occasional job to retrieve files or search at the headquarters. At the age of 23, the rookie Xavier stands before the door, holding a cardboard box. His uniform is neat, and his expressionless face is clean. He sticks out, being the only lively person in this otherwise gloomy hallway. Excuse me. As the door swings open, a group of people, in the midst of their hustle and bustle, lift their heads. They are dumbfounded by the face illuminated under the bright white light. A college student? Has he graduated yet? Everyone who comes here is just a bunch of pretty boys. Slightly awkward, Arthur clears his throat, signaling for everyone to quiet down. His eyes, filled with anticipation, move to the newcomer. You must be Zev, right? Why don't you introduce yourself? Xavier, male, 23. I'm the newest member. I look forward to working with you, the young man says, heading straight to an isolated desk in the corner. He places the cardboard box beside the computer and silently starts to arrange his things. Tommy and Luke simultaneously exchange disgruntled glances. What's this guy's deal? However, as time passes, Luke's impression begins to change. Whether it's tasks assigned by the higher-ups or senior members, Xavier always completes them quickly and methodically. He works until they're done, but nothing more. He is never late, but he doesn't leave early. When asked why he requested a transfer to their squad, he answers in a matter-of-fact tone. This place has many old archived records of Lincoln City. I want to read all of them. But there are likely over 5 million criminal records and fingerprint files in the database, and ones that haven't been entered into the system. The files from the beginning of the century alone probably amount to tens of millions of pages. Xavier falls silent for a moment. Seeing him lose hope, Arthur pats his shoulder as though he understands. It's good to like reading, but you can't spend all your time in the archives. Let's have beef hot pot tonight. Xavier doesn't like a lot of things, but he's very enthusiastic when it comes to eating hot pot. Watching as Xavier orders plate after plate of beef and lamb, Arthur is relieved. Knowing a person's favorite things is basically getting closer to them. During a mission, Xavier was injured in an attempt to rescue someone. He spent nearly half a month in the hospital. After being discharged, he insisted he didn't mean to rescue that person. He even claimed the incident had traumatized him. He ended up applying for a desk job as a logistics administrator. Like a forgotten cactus on the windowsill, Xavier lives a simple life, thriving amidst the winds and the sun's harsh glare. Chapter 2. An Unspoken Secret. Xavier always tidies up paperwork when everyone else is out on missions. He helps Luke whenever the hallway lights are broken. Despite Xavier mostly keeping to himself, people find he's actually quite easy to get along with. His eval is even more useful. Sometimes, for reasons unknown, a flash of light causes the criminal they're chasing to unexpectedly drop to the ground. Our target this time is an old friend, Lawrence. Team 13 has its usual mission briefing. Silence hangs in the air for a moment before Arthur awkwardly clears his throat, pointing at the image on the whiteboard with a laser pen. You all know what he looks like. The Skyhaven boys learned Lawrence recently returned. Let's keep a close eye on him and proceed with caution. Lawrence made his fortune selling evil hallucinogens, distributing his supply to major entertainment venues in Lincoln City and Skyhaven. Whether he's smart or has someone else guiding him, they always arrive either too late or to find him, or the goods are gone. They could never catch him. Several of their meticulously planned operations were ruined too. Just last month, Arthur was disheartened, declaring that if they failed again, it would be handed over to another team. Tommy understood this was a subtle hint from the higher-ups that Team 13 didn't need to continue existing. Our mission this time is rather unique, Arthur says, surveying the group. According to a reliable source, Lawrence be at the newly opened Palace Bathhouse next month. The purpose of this meeting is to select an undercover agent. His eyes brim with anticipation. They are to disguise themselves as an employee. The goal is to approach the target. No one volunteers. They draw straws. As they all unfold the crumpled slips of paper, a collective sigh of relief is let out. Only Tommy speaks up, on the verge of tears at the sight of a little turtle on his slip. I would rather do anything else. That place is too dangerous. I haven't even fallen in love yet. Please don't make me go. Arthur glares at him with disappointment and frustration. You're uglier than a cow. You'd be seen as suspicious almost immediately. If you look like Xavier. The room is silent. All eyes turn to Xavier, who is eating his noodles in the corner. Initially lost in thought, Xavier slowly raises his head, feeling many gazes on him. The city's most renowned entertainment district is a short, 100-meter street, tightly ensconced by grand, imposing buildings. The alley behind it is narrow and seemingly endless, almost devoid of light. Here, those with shady businesses gather, their intentions slowly understood. Deep in the night, a group of men in leopard print shirts and gleaming black shoes saunter on the pavement, spewing alcohol-laden obscenities. Streetlights illuminate job flyers plastered onto the walls, phone numbers mostly torn off. Among the group, a lanky young man with silver hair can be spotted in the distance. In a denim shirt and jeans, he leans against a lamppost, engrossed in the music from his headphones. A middle-aged man, cigarette hanging from his lips, approaches and sizes up the young man engrossed in his phone. High school student? College. Ah, an adult. What brings you here? The young man removes his headphones. I'm looking to make some quick cash. Do you know how? Wayne leads Xavier into a private room on the top floor of the Palace Bathhouse. As he pushes open the door, a middle-aged man in his 40s is seated in the farthest corner, pouring tea at a mahogany long table. This is the man in charge, Roman. Hello, Roman, Xavier says, following Wayne's lead in greeting. I'm Bob. Roman, looking like he's had a long stay in the underworld, scrutinizes Xavier. His gaze lingers. Just as Xavier begins to worry his identity might be exposed, that it's time to do Plan B, the man abruptly stands. He pulls a book from the shelf behind him, flipping through the pages. "Your name is too plain. It doesn't suit our palace," Roman says. He looks at Xavier. "Christian. We'll call you Christian." The palace has only been open for a month, staffed by young people around the same age as Xavier. After receiving his uniform and the work badge, Xavier promptly completes his onboarding. The moment he finishes, his supervisor urges him to clock in. "Where's Alexander?" The supervisor anxiously scans the area. "What? A stomachache? Then he will go to Fontainebleau. Roman said he wanted to show this badge to Lawrence." Xavier willingly raises his hand. "I can go, sir." "You're the newcomer, aren't you?" The supervisor sizes up the young man. Realizing he doesn't have a better solution at the moment, he nods. "Lawrence is here to discuss business with our boss today, so mind your words." The supervisor, watching Xavier leave, mutters to himself. "Such a handsome fellow. It's a pity he's dealing with this." Xavier arrives at the private room, Fontainebleau. 2 bodyguards stand at the door, only allowing him to enter after a thorough search. As Xavier steps inside, the client is already lying on the massage bed. He pushes the tool cart to the side of the bed, simultaneously retrieving the essential oil and slipping on gloves. "Hello, is this your first time here? Could I interest you in a membership?" Hands press onto the man's spine. The 3rd vertebra, 5th. By the time they reach the 7th, a strong pressure causes Lawrence to almost scream from the pain. As he tries to lift his head, he realizes he's being held down. He can't move. "Where's your supply?" Who are you?" Lawrence gasps. "Let me go. Let go of me. Help. Ouch!" Someone breaks through the door, and a group of guards instantly appear at the entrance. Xavier looks at them and releases Lawrence. "Don't you know whose turf this is?" Lawrence snatches a gun from one of his men. The others also raise their weapons, all pointed at Xavier. He slowly removes his gloves, leaving everyone unsure of his next move. For a moment, no one moves. Without even seeing Xavier move, some of the men are knocked down by a sudden burst of light. The young man holds a sword seemingly forged from moonlight itself. By the time Lawrence comes back to his senses, all of the men around him have been taken down. Xavier walks up to the man, kicks him, then uses his sword to lift his chin. "Can we talk?" By the time Luke arrives as backup, Xavier stands alone amidst the circle of fallen bodyguards. In the corner, Lawrence is tied up with bed sheets, his neck at an odd angle. "Xavier, did you take out everyone in this room?" "No." Xavier walks down the corridor, pulling Luke by his collar. "They ran into my sword." Message received, requesting backup. Xavier walks for a bit, then stops. Luke follows Xavier's gaze. A flood of men in black suits spills out of the elevator. "I'm not very strong, so you'll have to do the fighting," Xavier says. All Luke knows is that the grip on his collar loosens, and then he's tossed out of the hallway. "You didn't look like you were losing." "Ah!" Half a month later, at the commendation ceremony, Luke scratches his head. Under the fervent gaze of his fellow officers, he steps onto the stage to speak. "I'm not quite sure what happened myself. Seeing all of those people, I stilled myself and thought, might as well close my eyes and take a gamble. Then I just started punching. Before I knew it, they fell like dominoes." Luke recalls that day with a smirk. Maybe they were just too weak. Oh, the true hero of this incident was our team Xavier, and there is more. A month later, Polar Bear, notorious for selling illicit evil drugs, shows up at the doorsteps of the police station. He was tied up, weeping and confessing his sins. Another 2 months later, Cash, who had been using his evil to do telecom scams, is found live streaming on MeTube, dramatically slapping himself. Tears stream down his face as he implores everyone not to trust calls from unknown overseas numbers. 3 months later, in light of the outstanding performance of Team 13, HQ commander temporarily reassigns Luke and Tommy. It's good for further career development, but both of them refuse. They argue their ability to catch criminals is purely because of luck. They felt inadequate being in more important roles. They're open to temporary reassignment, but are firmly against a permanent transfer, for reasons they can't quite articulate. Ever since Xavier joined, their previously inept team somehow found their fighting spirit. As for who brought them luck, and whether Xavier is as simple as he appears to be, no one wants to know. Everyone seems to have an unspoken understanding to guard his secret.